had the smallest, it seemed small, but I was just listening to this lady that just spoke, manifestation. And I was sitting at dinner one night, and I was thinking, they haven't been asking us if we want coffee. I'd like some coffee, I think. And about a second later, the waiter came over and said, "Would you like some coffee?" And I said, "Yes." And then I thought, he went away. I think really what I wanted was cappuccino. So I said, well, I'll let him. Oh, well. So next thing you know, someone sits a cup of cappuccino in front of me. So what I'm saying is, are we headed to the place where we're just desiring and receiving?
Well, you're not headed there. You're already there.
Yeah.
You're already there because what you have asked for is already a vibrational reality. But the gap, how long it takes to close that gap, is a much simpler thing than most people realize. Because most people are trying to close that gap through action, where the way you close the gap is by ceasing the resistant engines going the wrong way on your track.
Yeah.
After the Mediterranean cruise in Rome, we were talking to a large group of people who had gathered from 58 countries. And someone raised their hand and lighted up, and we called them forward, and he said, "I have no questions at all. I just wanted to say that I was just sitting here thinking about how much I love my dog, and you called on me." And he was demonstrating to himself and then to others that in that thought that holds no resistance, all that is in his vortex could be answered in a timely way. And so when we say to you that you've asked for so much of it is so ripe and ready for you to receive, and it takes so little for you to be in the receiving mode. But if you're in the struggling mode, you're not in the receiving mode. If you're in the efforting mode, you're not in the receiving mode. If you're angry or frustrated or worried about something, you're not in the receiving mode. So you got to feel light and easy and playful. And so that cruise is conducive. It doesn't have to be. There a lot of drama went on that cruise too. But things like that are often conducive to being in vibrational alignment with who you really are. And so once you have an experience like that and you are able to consciously capture for yourself, and by that we mean notice it and then milk it so that you own consciously what it felt like when that happened. In other words, our friend, what was I feeling like as I was walking down that path and my eyes picked a needle out of a haystack? What was I feeling like? How was I feeling? Well, she was high and she was open and she was eager and she was giving, she was flowing, she was explaining, she was in the receiving mode. And when you're in the receiving mode, there are answers to everything that you want all around you. And so we like to tell the story. We know you've heard it so many times. So here's the vortex, ripe with all of the things you want, with your inner being there, and law of attraction having already gathered the cooperative components, which means law of attraction has gathered the cooperative components, the things that are most likely for you to easily rendezvous with. Now, did you hear the way we expressly presented that to you? Because your inner being knows exactly what your path of least resistance is. Your inner being doesn't judge you for resistance that you've got on your path. Your inner being notes the resistance you've got on your path and calls you around it. That's why the impulse to take that walk at that time with that person on that trail and look that way in that light happened. That was timing of extraordinary proportion, you see. Many people would say it is inconceivable that that even happened, and yet those things and many more like them are available to you all day, every day when you're in the receiving mode. So we think if we were standing in your physical shoes, the first thing that we'd be doing is figuring out, to me, what does the receiving mode feel like? Sometimes it feels like interest. Sometimes it feels like passion. Sometimes it feels like just a happy heart. Sometimes it feels like love that turns you inside out. In other words, that receiving mode feeling feels a lot of different good feeling ways. But when something happens, when you are able to actually make the correlation between what I was thinking and how I was feeling and what manifested, what just manifested, not what's going to manifest, what did manifest, what just manifested. Once you make the correlation between that and identify and isolate and keep active in yourself as long as you can, the feeling of that, now you are becoming a masterful creator. We've been talking. We know you've heard us. Step 1 is contrast helps you to ask and launch the asking or the rocket of desire. Step 2 is source answers it. Your inner being stands there and law of attraction has answered it. In other words, everything that you think is future manifestation for you is present tense vibrational reality. It is already done. Step 1, 2, not anything for you to do about it except live life and experience the wonderful consequences of living life. Step 3 is you got to find a way of feeling about what you're asking for, not the absence of it, feeling the presence of what you're asking for. And then step 4 is just getting really good at step 3. Step 4 is just mastery of that. And that's what we're talking about here. Milking it, identifying that something happened, and this is how I felt. And then keeping that feeling active within you until you own it in a conscious way. Because when you do that, you accomplish a momentum that is easy for you to achieve again and again and again. And so that's what step 4 is. I can get there easily and I can stay there long.
Mm-hmm. I feel that's happening. I feel like I get there really easily.
Yes.
And I'm having so much fun with it.
Yes.
I had a thought the other day for the first time. I've heard Abraham talk so much about the journey, and it's not about the thing that, you want the things because you think they'll make you feel better. And for the first time, I'm not sure what happened, I actually felt, I think I just want the journey. And it was the first time I ever really felt that. And it was like, now the fun begins with that.
Well, here's what we want to say to you. You are so much further on your way to the full fruition of the things you want than you know, because you've already explored the contrast and you've already put it in the vortex, and source has already been there, and law of attraction has already gathered the cooperative components. So that's so much that you don't now have to do. It's already done. And now law of attraction is gathering more cooperative components, and your vortex is getting ready for you to be ready for it. So much has already been done. And then you just find some reason not to be mad about something. Just stop doing that thing you do that holds your vibration down, and your vibration will go up. You didn't have to do stuff to make it go up. Just stop doing the stuff that causes it to go down. Just stop holding the cork under the water and it will bob back up. So then, as you sort of get the hang of that and get happier and happier, then this wonderful thing begins to happen, because you are the same vibrational place that the things in your vortex are, the same vibrational place where your inner being is. Now, the transfer of thoughts from your inner being to you, just like what's happening right now, we are transferring our thoughts to Esther. And because she's in the vibrational place that we are, she's able to receive those thoughts and translate them into the physical word equivalent. This is a manifestation that is happening, that is just like what happens to you can happen to you all day, every day. So now, as those thoughts begin coming and you are enjoying them, enjoying that journey, you can get into this sweet spot where you look over there and there's a $9,000 diamond. And you look over there and there's someone who's been waiting to talk to you. In other words, timing. Law of attraction is the orchestrator of perfect timing. But you have to be conscious of your vibration in order for you to be inspired to the movement that puts you in the right place at the right time. And you cannot be at the right place at the right time if you're mad at somebody. You can't be at the right place at the right time if you're angry about something. You can't be at the right place at the right time if you are discouraged or depressed. And all of those negative emotions are just the results of you thinking in opposition to the thoughts that your inner being is thinking about the same thing.
Yeah. I've heard you say many times that you create your emotional reality and you observe your physical reality. How can there be such disconnect between the two? if they're not in alignment?
You create your own reality. What you think and how you feel always match, and what you think and how you feel and what manifests always matches. Even what manifests in your dream state is a match to what you've been thinking and feeling.
I'm just suggesting that there are times you observe in your physical reality things that don't match with what you've created in your emotional reality.
Well, we're not certain what you are referring to in terms of emotional reality. We talk about your vortex, which is a vibration.
Okay, it's in her emotional vortex. I can't imagine that my sister had in her vortex to have a transgender child come into the world. And she loves him dearly and totally supports him.
Maybe not the specifics of that, but is it possible that your sister had in her vortex a desire for more people to be understanding, a desire for more people to let the world go round, a desire for more people to find freedom in thoughts that are diverse?
Sure, and then that's how it manifested? Differently than what we would have anticipated or expected.
These thoughts turn to things. These desires...
Just not the things we think they're going to turn to, or necessarily want them to turn to.
But they turn to the things that really match what's really in your vortex. That's why we so often say that you've been putting into your vortex rockets of desire incrementally, so much so that there isn't one of you who could describe with any real definition what's in there. Because you put it in incrementally, and some of it you put there before you even got here into this physical body. And it's been growing and becoming and gathering cooperative components under the tutorage of your inner being, who is also still you. And so your vortex has become something that's why when we say it's going to surprise and delight you, because
it'd scare the hell out of you too.
Well, until you come back into alignment, maybe.
True. We recently went to North Carolina, and if you know about their bathroom bill, I mean, that was a little worrisome. Thankfully, he's small enough that it wasn't an issue, but we certainly don't want him being attacked in the bathroom.
But you see, in the same
way, as a
way
man wearing a dress,
that you know it will be nice when more people come into harmony with who they are, and therefore don't feel like making a deal out of things that there shouldn't be a deal made out of. You sort of kind of want to do the same thing. In the same way that you're asking them to understand your difference, we're asking you to understand their difference, because people aren't being mean because they want to be mean. It's always a misunderstanding. And talk about a misunderstanding. People don't understand who they are or why they're here. People don't understand that they're vibrational. People don't understand that they've got a vibrational reality. People don't understand that their emotions are about the relationship between what they're thinking and what their inner being is thinking. In other words, there are so many misunderstandings. It's like when you see a little child learning to walk and they fall down, you don't say, "Get up, you little dummy." And when you see an intolerant person, we wouldn't say, "Get up, you little dummy," either. Because in most cases, they are exhibiting what they learned from wherever they came from, and they are doing what they believe is the thing that they should be doing, and they're not in touch enough with their own guidance system. And as they stand around in anger, they think that change in the world is the only thing that's going to make that anger go away. And it's a nice thing that there's not enough change in the world to make that anger go away. They've got to come into alignment with who they really are, or that anger cannot go away.
So it's a teachable moment, and we experience the contrast in that regard, and hopefully have positive
a teachable
experience.
moment if the child is asking. You see, here's something really important for you to hear. Don't superimpose your prejudices over this new child who doesn't have them, because he doesn't have to have it as hard as you had it, because he was born in a different time with a different vibrational balance.
Very true. Very true.